Okay, we're going to jump right into it. Like Keane said, welcome to the Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson. I am your host, Denny Cards, and you are listening to the fastest growing podcast in the hobby, which I will claim until proven otherwise. I also have one listener in Germany, so Dankeschön to you, my good card friend. Um, Early on in my podcast, which really has only been around for a month, I talked about how I used to sell on Whatnot, and that I wanted to bring an expert to come and talk about it. So I really could not think of anyone better than one of the most successful, entertaining single streamers out there on the platform, and that is Keane. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I love being here, man. Thank you.
So I gotta say right off the top, I know I only have an hour, and I know for my other guests I've gone longer than that. But I'm gonna make the most out of this hour. And I gotta say, like I asked you before before I hit record, you want to warm up a little bit, and you were just like, no, I'm like, let's just go. And I'm just like, oh, that's awesome. You're like Steph Curry. You're like you don't even need to warm up and shoot those shots from like the tunnel and like from the stands.
Right. Just from the hip, man. We just jump into
Oh
it.
my goodness, that's awesome. So I gotta say, you saying you're from the Bay Area and liking Curry and being from California.
Hmm.
If I can name the five places my first five guests were from, they were from California, then Chi-Town / Illinois, then Virginia and New York. But those two in Virginia and New York, they both had pets named Callie. And so we just have to bring it back to Cali. So you know that song, I'm going back to Cali, Cali. So
Exactly.
thank you so much for being on the show. So um, I don't have a bio for you, but I know some about you because I've watched your content and it's terrific. Is it okay with you if we kind of cobble together your bio like on while recording and just kind of like I'll throw some numbers at you and you just tell me if it's true or not, things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So this is all, research that I did or like watching your content on YouTube or Instagram. So you have 22,000, almost 22,000 subscribers on YouTube. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
And you had your latest video about being scammed out of like $1,000. I had like 7,000 views.
Correct.
That is awesome. You almost have 5,000 followers on Instagram.
Correct. Yeah.
You recently made a post that just in one quarter, the first quarter of 2023, in 3 months, you spent six figures on cards, $116,000 if I round up.
Correct.
And if 7-Eleven is open for business, are you?
Yes, that is correct. If 7-Eleven and CVS are open for business and they're working, then so am I.
There you go. CVS too. Oh man, that hits too close to home because I've been there way too often recently due to medical stuff.
Oh
Um,
no.
Plus or minus five IKEA bags in your house.
Minus.
Minus. Oh
Yeah.
man, I thought it might be more.
I
I
know.
thought that was a pretty decent number. How many bags do you have?
3. I should have more, but I've lost the others. I should
We'll
have more.
get
It should be over 5.
um in case we don't get to that. I wanted to say when you stream and you're shipping out, you put just a insane number of packages into these huge IKEA bags, right? I mean, that's how successful your streams are on Whatnot, right?
Correct. Yes.
And because I did delete Whatnot, I wasn't able to check this out. How many like followers do you have on Whatnot?
I think I just hit 11,000.
Wow, that is awesome.
Hmm.
Um, and so those are the stats, but of course we're not just numbers, we're human beings.
Hmm.
Before we get into selling on Whatnot and all that, um, take as much time as you'd like to kind of like tell us your origin story, like um collecting in the past or the evolution of yourself. Just go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I mean, people always ask if I got into collecting in the 90s and I mean early on. I mean, I was never really a collector. I mean, back then during like the junk wax era, everybody just had a pack of cards, you know what I mean? So I had a little bit too, but it wasn't really until 2019 that I really got reintroduced to it. But at that point, it wasn't so much of a full-time job. It was a buy and invest type thing because cards were on the boom upwards, right? So 2019, I was had a couple cards, and then 2020, of course, happened. The pandemic happened, and then everything just kind of went crazy, as did all industries. And then it became a buy, a hold, and appreciation with cards, right? all the investors were doing, everybody was doing very well in everything, whether you went to crypto, whether you went to watches, whether you went to sneakers, whether you went to sports cards, even vintage clothing. Everything went kind of crazy. And then, of course, that all normalized. And now here we are. We go into 2021, 2022, 2023. And 2022, I'm unhireable. You know what I mean? I made a shirt about it. I made a post. I think it was early 2022. I was at a crossroads. I was like, okay, either I'm going to do sports cards full time, reselling full time, or I'm going to go back and get a job. And I applied to like 50 places, 60 places, and they all said, thanks, but no thanks. You're great. Thanks, but no thanks. Or they didn't reply at all. I got one interview, I think. I even went to wanted to, I was even trying to be a bartender somewhere because that's what I used to do in a past life. I could even get a call back. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I guess it's going to be, I got to figure it out. You know what I mean? And then that's why I made that post. If you go back to my Instagram, I made 20 t-shirts and I printed one of those job rejection letters on the t-shirt. And that's actually, it's still, the job rejection letter is still actually my iPhone lock screen and home screen, just to remind myself about where I was a year and a half ago and where I am now, and why I don't want to go to that position ever again, why I want to keep on grinding as hard as humanly possible every single day. And that's where I'm at right now. Sports cards are a full-time job. Content creation, I'm gonna pick it back up, so that's gonna be another full-time job. And yeah, that's my origin story. I'm doing what I love for a living, and I love every second, every day, every minute of it.
That is awesome. So you're kind of like Michael Jordan. You get fueled by rejection. You're just like, I get cut from the high school team. I'm gonna like just dominate the NBA. All
Yeah,
right. So
I get very petty. I won't say Michael Jordan, but I mean, like, I get very petty. Like, the job rejection letter, like that's like fine. Um, it, people run a business or whatever, so just had to use that as fuel. But even things like, if you go back a year from now, 16 months ago, when I really got started in sports, into flipping sports cards, I didn't have much money, so I would go to, I tell all the young kids this, I would go to card shows
yeah.
and I would buy value boxes of cards that didn't even
Yeah.
look as nice as this.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even have pennies. They didn't even have top loaders. They were penny sleeves. So I'd negotiate, $200 to buy 1,000 cards that nobody wanted. But
Mm-hmm.
if you sell them on eBay, you know what I mean? If you sell them on eBay, you can turn 25 cents, 20 cents into $1, into $2. So I always tell people that, like, what do you do with sports cards? Look, it's going to be hard for you to find a $200 card and sell it for $2,000. It's easy for you to buy a whole box of 20-cent cards, and one of those happens to maybe be worth $10. Now, imagine if you do that 10 times over, 100 times over. If you can put in the work and you can become efficient enough, you found that $200 card and made $1,000 out of it. Does that make sense? You do it in volume. And in terms of, to circle back of why I'm so petty, people used to clown me, saying that I'm like, oh, now you're such a you're buying all this trash. You're such a low end flipper. You're such a that, and I'm like, okay. And then you fast forward 16 months later, I'm buying $1,000 cards, I'm buying $5,000 cards. To all those people that was talking, I'm spending more on shipping supplies than they are on cards. You know what I'm saying? So I love it, man. Like, people, like, my friend just told me something this morning, man. Like, he said, my mentor, actually, he said, you know what? Out of all the 100 people in the world, 100% of people in the world, 10% are going to love what you do no matter what. 80% you have to convince. 10% are going to hate you no matter what you do.
Right.
I remember I was giving free cards away to kids on YouTube, and then I was getting hate over it, saying that, oh, those cards are no good. They're this. You're just giving trash away. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, you know what I mean? So I just thrive on that stuff, because you can't make everybody happy. And I'm just like, I love it, man. If somebody says something, like, man, please keep it going. I love it. Like, people have no idea how much maybe I'm just that petty, but that's how much it motivates me. You know what I mean? And I need that. I need that every single day, because, like, I have no boss right now. Like, I have no, you know what I mean? Like, no boss, no manager, no company is giving me quarterly agendas, yearly agendas, daily goals, yearly goals. It's all me. You know what I mean? So if I could get motivation that way, we keep going.
You know what's wild to me is, it's clear to me with you giving your time today, and this is actually my first afternoon, StreamYard chat. The other ones have been like late into the evening.
Nice.
Is time is money to you. I mean, it's clear to me you're very like efficient and effective, and I really appreciate that. But I guess I wasn't planning to go here, but since you opened the door with regards to low end flipping,
Mhm.
yes, it's true. You can grind it out, but that grind, it takes so much time, right? I mean, like, it's so much quicker. It may not be as easy, but it's so much
Mhm.
quicker to flip, a three-figure card into, like, more profit, like gross profit margin, versus, like, grinding it out with the dollar cards. But that's where you, like, cut your teeth, though.
Absolutely. That's where you learn where, like, okay, I mean, so it does take a long time, but it's all about becoming more efficient with the process. If I told you that I could list 100 raw cards a day, that sounds
Mm.
crazy, right? But I could do it in an hour and a half.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
there's a way to do it. Am I going to say it? No, because I think people have to learn those things. It's you know what I mean? Like, and I think that even if I told people, 99% of the people wouldn't even follow through with it. You know what I mean? So it's the people that can find out how to do that quickly, because the information's out there on YouTube.
Yeah.
Some, you just do a quick Google search. How do you list 100? How do you scan 100 cards in a day? How do you take a photo
Hmm.
of 100 cards within an hour? It's
Yeah.
out there, but do people want to do it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, actually, my third guest, his name is Nick Sostak. He bought and sold a million card collection, not $1 million card collection, but a million card collection. And he and I talked a lot about eBay. So for folks listening to this episode, I would recommend them go back to, I don't know what episode number it is, but it's the Million Card Man is the nickname I had for him.
Mm.
Actually, I do want to ask you, because I do try to have nicknames for each guest.
Yep.
Um, I don't have a really good one. Like, I love Someone Talk to Keane, but that's your brand, and that's your catchphrase, which I want to talk about in a second, because I feel like you've shortcut so much of my questions that I wanted to ask already, just in you answering, just in you talking. I feel like I can cross out like several questions that I had for you,
Good.
because you're so good at that. But what should I call you in this podcast?
Eh, Keen is good.
Keen, nothing, no nickname. Should I just say Keen, no nickname?
Yeah. real
Well,
real name, real name, no gimmicks.
no. So here's the thing. If you just Google Keen, like and it's Keane, and for people who click on the podcast title, they'll already know that. But yeah, in YouTube, like, it would bring up some band or whatever. But your brand and your name, it's Someone Talk to Keen, right?
Mhm.
That's what they should put in to find you.
Correct.
And I will put this in the show notes, but in Instagram, your Instagram handle is KEANE_, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Mhm.
so your catchphrase, "Someone Talk to Keen," makes me think about a catchphrase that I came up with, and
Mhm.
no one else ever can say it in the world, because that's how it goes. We all know, and that's, "We all start at zero. We all start at zero." And I put a
Mhm.
clap emoji in between each word. So
Mhm.
I imagine that catchphrase resonates with you, because
Yep.
in a way, "Someone Talk to Keen" connotes that at some point early on, people weren't talking to you,
Mhm.
whether that's in a chat or eBay responses, or like you said, these companies who you apply to and they weren't responding back to you.
Mhm.
But I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
The question I guess I have is, what do you think about my very awesome catchphrase that no one else can ever say?
What is it? We all start at zero.
We all start at zero.
I love it. I love it. That's the best. That's the best way to look at it. We all start at zero. Every journey begins with the first step. It's I love it, man.
So
I think it's people. It's easy for people to get daunted by the task of trying to accomplish something that they want to get to. If you're going from 0 to 100, they want to get to 100 as fast as possible, but you got to
right.
start with zero, and then you got to get to one. And I think from what I hear and from what I see from other people, going from 0 to 1 is the hardest step. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I love it.
So let's talk about, I appreciate you telling me about you starting off in eBay and buying and selling there and selling at shows. But again, I've had other guests talk about that. So what I really wanted to focus on was you selling on stream
Yeah.
platforms, specifically Whatnot. You're successful at it. I bought from you a long time before I deleted Whatnot, because it was getting too addicting and crazy. But when it comes to your streams, I found them to be entertaining.
Mm.
You don't have to buy anything. You can just have fun. You can vibe. You're just
Yeah.
like freestyle rapping and like just having fun. It's a positive vibe. It's a fun vibe, and I give you a lot of credit. But it took you a lot of time to get to that point, I imagine. Again, Someone Talk to Keen. Can
Yeah.
you talk? Can you tell me, so the listeners can benefit too? Like, what was it like when you first started out on Whatnot?
I think Well, I guess I kind of had a leg up because I had a little bit of a YouTube following, a social media following, and a little bit of a community. So I remember the first stream we hit like 10, 15 people. And it's hard. I mean, like people always ask like how do you get started on whatnot? And it's not as easy as just like, signing up, turning on the switch, turning on the light, and all of a sudden you put a card up and it sells, right? Like if you
Mhm.
scroll through the whatnot live show feed, you'll see people that have like one person in the room, two people in the room, five people in the room. It's really tough. I don't know if it would be. I imagine it's a lot tougher now because they've let a lot more sellers come in.
Mhm.
But I will say that the one tip that I have is you just have to give, and this goes with not just whatnot, but this goes with everything in life. You have to be able to give people value. So I remember when I first started on whatnot, I was losing on a lot of cards. Which is just the way it is. But then the thing is, if I sell you a $50 card and it goes for 25, that sucks, right? But that $25 is you can consider customer acquisition because you're probably going to come
Mm.
back the next stream after that and buy something else because you won. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I think, not even just whatnot. I think like just card dealers in general don't understand is that other people you can't have all the money, you know what I mean? You can't get all the money in every single deal because who's going to want to deal with you, you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
not everybody has that many rare cards where like you can get command all the money all the time. You'll see deals with me on YouTube, me and other dealers, and then they give me a good amount of percentage, and then I return the favor every now and again. And even in my chat, like there's in the stream, there's a lot of people that spend a lot of money, and it's like you hear me say it, and it's not a joke. They say, "Keane, can you do X amount for this card?" I said, "For you, absolutely," because you know what I mean. It's all about building relationships. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the difference between the people that are really successful. And even when you go to your local show, there's always somebody there's always somebody that always has all the business. That has somebody coming to their table all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, they probably have a good amount of inventory, but I think they just are also good at just giving people a lot of value. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
conversely, then on the other side of it, there's people that are have the same cards every single week because they're asking
Mhm.
all the money. They don't want to cut a deal, which whatever. Like
Right.
some people don't have to do this for a living, so they could do whatever they want, right? But that's just the dynamic of the two ends of the spectrum.
I love what you said. You can't have all the money. That's so true. And I think just to add on to that, I think sometimes you need to take one step back to take two steps forward. I think everyone, like I'm not the best basketball player or the best basketball coach, but when I coach my kids' basketball teams, I'm like, listen, we all want to get to the rim, but there's going to be a defender there.
Yeah,
Like it's not just a layup line. Like you're going to have someone there, so you might have to sometimes go backwards and reset. Sometimes you have to go lateral. And the game of basketball is like you have to be tricky almost. You have to manipulate. And I'm not saying you have to manipulate to make good deals, but
yeah,
it can't just be charge forward and you have an obstacle in front of you and you try to just push it over. I mean, I guess maybe football you try to like bowl someone over and get a pancake or a block, but in
right.
basketball and in life, I feel like you just have to reassess. You can't if you encounter something, you gotta think quick and you gotta go backwards to go forward sometimes, right?
Yeah, and it's so much more than just the bottom line of the deal, right? Like who made what and how much and what it
Mhm.
is. Um, maybe we'll touch on this later, but I'll touch on it a little bit now.
Sure.
Um, like relationships are just like beyond super important. Like there's a lot of videos that I do on my YouTube channel where I do a deal with different shops, like one of them being NorCal Sports Cards. We do a lot
Mhm.
of deals together, and they are very smart in the sense of they knew that if I come into their shop, that's instant, like that's damn near like a free commercial, like you know what I mean? Because I'm bringing the camera, you're going to be on YouTube, so for them it's like like okay, well these cars that we could sell for 1,000. He's coming in here, he's asking for 800, he's asking for 700. We can make more somewhere else, but there's value right there in building that relationship. And then now you look back, this is this you look at it now and it's like damn, they got a lot of business from being on the YouTube channel, from being that, all from an initial like $200 loss, $100 loss. A lot of people blowing up their DM, not blowing up, but hitting them on the DMs trying to do
Yeah.
deals now, right?
Right, right.
Um, and then beyond that, like I've went back and I've spent $50,000 with them. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because and I'm not, and I've tried to open the door with other shops and be like, yo, like You know what I mean? Can we do something? And it's like, no, because then all they see is just the bottom line. It's like, all right,
Right.
then we're not the type to do that. And you say like, if I say that now, to that looks like, oh, Keen's trying to lobby to get more deals with other shops. But if you go on YouTube, you'll see Troy Trike 415 comes to my table. He wants $200 more than I'm willing to pay, but I'm gonna pay it for him because I know that relationship is worth something. Justin
Mm.
Gamble comes to my table, and I tell him straight up, look, man, like you want to do a deal, let's do a deal. And I pretty much gave him my cards at cost when I could have got like an extra $500 more. But me showing up on his channel, me building a relationship, that's worth something. That's worth more than the $200 I can get from him now. And I don't know, man. Like the people, call me new school, call them old school. I don't know, but the people that are kind of like not abiding by those rules, but playing that game are doing really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry about
Again,
I was running this allergies all over here in California, man. Like
I
pollen.
got you, man. It's all good. For those of you who are just listening to the audio, it should be totally fine. And for video, all good, man. You look great, man. You got your hat. I got my hat. Got my NBA Jam. Both of these dudes got traded.
That
Hachimura and
Beal,
Beal.
yeah.
This is completely vintage now.
Where are you from again?
Immediately, I'm in the DC area. I'm in Northern
Right.
Virginia. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to, God, I mentioned this in an earlier episode, but I had to miss the Chantilly show because I had some back issues and
Oh yeah.
I was at CVS too much, man. So, actually, let me ask you: when you were unhireable, did you apply to 7-Eleven and CVS?
I didn't apply to 7-Eleven and CVS.
um, okay, so when it comes to the stream, I mean, you said you
Brother,
started
take
with
it
like,
1 second. Let me go get a tissue real quick.
yeah, absolutely, filler. Oh, bless you. I gotta fill I gotta eat the minutes like they say in Succession. I don't know if anyone likes that show, but love it. I watched the whole thing except for the last season. My wife and I are starting from the beginning. Shout out Succession. Shout out the Culkin family, Macaulay and Kieran. Home Alone, favorite movie growing up. Okay, here we go. Keane is
All right,
back. I
thank you.
filled all the minutes, man. So when it comes to the stream, like you started out with 10 to 15, which is great because I know a lot of people start at 0 and 1. But the YouTube, right? I mean, I wanted to ask how many people are in your stream now, but maybe we talk about that a little bit, and then I want to talk to you about how you started your YouTube channel at 0, almost like the content creation side, and then we can go back to like streaming and selling. But this concept of starting from 0, like where are you at now with Whatnot?
As far as like how many people in the stream every now and
Yeah,
again,
yeah, yeah.
I say average. I'm usually around like 50 to 70.
That's good.
Yeah,
Especially when you do a giveaway, the Givey goblins come out for that $100 bill, and
I love it.
then they
Yeah,
leave instantly.
I
So
know.
before we go back to Whatnot, I wanted to ask, when it comes to YouTube, like like me, like right now, my YouTube presence is very minimal, if anything. You
Yeah,
start from 0 too.
yeah.
So how did you go from, like, tell us about that?
I don't know. I think maybe I was just like early. I know it's kind of tough now because I see a lot of more YouTube channels popping up, and it's kind of hard to gain that traction. I think I was just earlier in the process. But I just did have a lot of like exercise with doing many vlogs in general. Um, I tell this story, but all of 2021, I shot and edited a vlog every single day for all. It's a private vlog, but then it was a whole practice of shooting every single day, editing it at night, and then uploading it before the next day started. So that helped me get more efficient. That helped me get more comfortable being in front of the camera, and I think that kind of translates well into getting a bigger audience. Because if you're kind of awkward and you feel like in a shell, no one's going to really want to watch that because they'll feel awkward, right?
Mhm.
So that's another thing that comes with it is just practice, 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 and repetition, repetition. Like, you know what I mean? 2021, 365 videos, 365 days. That you get over yourself very fast, and you get over your insecurities very fast when you do that. You know what I mean? And it also makes it that much
Mm.
easier when you actually put a video up that people can see. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Dang, that's awesome. And every 4 years, an extra video, 366
that's
leap
true.
years.
Exactly.
Don't forget about that leap year.
Yeah, that's overtime. That's when it's
Don't
overtime.
don't sleep on that leap year. So yeah, recently you had a post about full time, part time, overtime. I want to kind of maybe jump to that because we're just talking about time.
Yep.
Do you want to explain that concept, or do you want me to try to cobble it together?
How about you cobble it together, and then I'll touch on top of it.
All right. So, oh man, I really don't skewer me for getting it wrong or if I misconstrue because I'm just doing this off the top of my head. But
Mhm,
you recently made a video about how important it is, like, this right now is a full-time gig to you, but
mhm,
there are people who are in it just, as a participant, as a collector,
mhm.
who this isn't their full-time thing. But
Sure.
for someone like you who is, and I don't know if you would describe yourself as a industry insider, but you definitely have skin in the game. Like you have, I'm sure, like you have an LLC, you
Mhm,
like this is your full-time thing, like you
mhm,
stream, you do all this stuff. Like you have to not just do this full time, but you got to put in the extra work. And I think that's what I hear from a lot of small business owners is it's great to be your own boss. It sounds magical. Wow, I don't have to account to anyone. I don't have to please my boss. I just have to, I get to set my own hours. But
mhm.
in setting your own hours, if you're a small business owner, your hours might be 6 a.m. to midnight.
Absolutely. That's it. You said it best. There's a part-time, like, like, so a lot of people want to do this as a full-time job, but only put in part-time hours, and that's just not possible. Well, maybe it is, but I haven't found the formula, and I haven't seen it. I haven't talked to anybody that does. Everybody that I know that's successful at it is putting in not just full-time hours, but overtime hours. But the thing of it is, like, you love the game so much and you love the hobby so much that it never feels like work. I think you're absolutely right. It's 6 a.m. to 12. It's from waking hour to sleeping hour. You know what I mean? Like, from every
Yeah.
waking hour, there's something to do. Like, answering the stuff beyond just, selling a card or listing a
Hmm.
card. Like, there's DMs that you got to answer, there's trips you got to make to the post office, there's books that need to be done. And, like, if I'm
Hmm.
selling something, like I tell my friend Davis, like, if I'm selling industrial auto parts, like, I'm not passionate about that. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna want to wake up and, like, see where the best industrial auto part deal is. You know what I mean? It's sports
Hmm.
cars. Like, I love this, you know what I'm saying? So that makes it easier. And I realize that, like, at the end of the week, I take a stock of my week and, like, wow, I put in like 70 hours, 80 hours, you know what I mean? But it doesn't feel like it because this is what I do. This is what I love doing, you know what I mean? So I don't know, like, yeah, full-time, part-time, overtime. You got to put in the overtime hours to treat this like a full-time job.
And so you are a solo streamer, like you don't have a team. Like I know some of these breaking teams have like multiple people who like they break. That's front of the house. To me,
Yep.
it's almost like a restaurant. Front of the house is the personality, the person, the waiter, right?
Yep.
And they're the person who serves you your meal. And then you got back of the house, the kitchen, who you don't see, but they're the ones who cook your meal. In the breaking parlance, it's more like the people who sort, pack, and ship, right? I
Yep.
mean, you don't ever know these names, but they're just as important. But like I think you also do some breaking. You got into that recently too, but you do everything from soup to nuts, right?
Yes. Solo. I mean, I'm open to the idea of scaling up, and then hiring people and doing more. But right now, I'm I talk about it, like, it's all about getting efficient with the process. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's the only
Yeah.
way you can make it really work. Packing 100 items. Like, how long would that take the average person? You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
me, about 2 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So,
my gosh.
like quick, because, like, I've got the processes down super efficiently. You know what I
That
mean?
is, yeah. You
And
must let's not make this into an advertisement for Rolo printer, but you must love your Rolo printer. I
I love
imagine I don't want to
that.
say it's a Rolo, but your thermal printer, right?
It is a Rolo, but yeah, I do love the Holo printer, yeah.
I feel like
And
so
yeah,
many people have the Rolo.
yeah, so,
Um,
and then also, just in terms of, like, me being by myself right now, I just love
yeah,
the low overhead, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to pay
yeah.
anybody, it's just me, like, and I'm working out of the home, so I don't have to pay for office space. So,
Wow.
just riding for that as long as I can. When it's time to scale, it's time to scale.
And people do say it's good workers are hard to find, right? I mean, good help is hard to find. Like these breaking teams, a lot of people blame the breaker himself, and this isn't all about breaking and what's good and what's not, because I did that in another episode. But sometimes the card that gets stolen,
Just by a
right?
worker.
Or it could be by someone who is never on camera. You never know who they are. It could just be
Yep,
like a not even a minimum wage worker who just kind of like just pockets it and just dips out, right? I mean, but
you gotta
you,
get
it's like,
trust, yeah,
yeah,
and
you
it'll
got to
just
get someone to trust.
it'll tank your whole brand and image, but
Exactly.
for me, beyond, like, the bigger story beyond that is, like, I think you can tell from talking to me that I care a lot, like, about what I
Okay.
do, and it's gonna be hard for me to find someone that cares as much as I do,
Mm.
but won't make as much as I do. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
I have to come to grips with that, I'm not gonna find like another me that's gonna work like 80 hours, a week, and like do this from sun up to sundown and be ready at the drop of a hat. Like I wouldn't even want to do that if I didn't have my name on the building. You know what I mean? So I got to come to grips with that and come to terms with that. But for now, like I'm okay with being obsessed with this on my own.
Nice.